So in Cuba, there is a very, very mixed legacy, very polarized feelings about a particular day, which is today, June 22nd. Now, there's polarized feelings about this day because it marked the day that the Spaniards lost and that Cuba went from a Spanish colony to an American colony. Now, Americans and slave owners celebrate this day. They say freedom came to Cuba and shit like that. But it's just mostly terrible fucking people who celebrate this day. The thousands of slave owners who fled Cuba with suitcases full of money, who all went to Miami, they celebrate this day. But actual Cubans who were suffering from the embargo and the blockade and the effect of resisting imperialism and having a fucking legacy of revolution, legacy of having humanity, those people fucking hate this day. I was very fortunate. I was able to spend 2 weeks volunteering in Cuba, learning about the Cuban family code, learning they have the most progressive feminist legislation in the world, and just about a lot of strengths and ongoing challenges that the Cuban people are experiencing. Because it's really fucking critical to understand the context of a place while critiquing it. The context is everything. You know, there's domestic violence and self-defense, but then people attacking the self-defense as if that person is being violent. Divorced from the context, that's completely a different story. The same thing goes with Cuba. The same goes with any historical project. We need to understand all the material conditions of a country and what came before the country. So Cuba went from a Spanish colony, year 1900, to an American colony. Eventually it was liberated 1960, and then it went independent, but completely fucking blockaded by the US. So they've been suffering like a motherfucker for 65 years under that. And that is the very critical context to analyze the suffering of the Cuban people. But when we were there, we had a translator for our Solidarity Brigade. And I think his first son or his second son was set to be born on June 20th. And he was like, man, the doctor told me June 20th, and I prayed to God that my son would be born a day early or a day late. And my prayers were answered. My son was born the day after that. The US has a GDP more than 300 times the size of Cuba, but Cuba still has superior medical care and a higher life expectancy. And 51% of the entire fiscal budget goes to social programs. This is only because the Cuban people fought for that. If you're interested in Cuba, I have a 25-minute piece that is published internationally. Very happy to show you that for free. And that goes through the North American disenfranchisement and institutions of colonialism, particularly heightening gendered violence. So that is the framework that is used to analyze the beauty of the Cuban family code, the accomplishments of that, and how much change, centuries of inequalities could be healed between millions of people across North America if we were to bring the Cuban family code to North America.